Welcome to Jasiri. It's Wednesday and we are right at the heart. Now, it's that point where we pause, where we take stock and push deeper into the conversations that actually matter. Wednesdays on Jasiri are for reflection, for truth-telling, and for those layered conversations that challenge us to think, to feel, and to engage. It's the day we move beyond the surface to hear the voices that are often ignored. The voices of survivors, change makers, everyday Nigerians navigating extraordinary realities. So whether you're just getting started with your day or you're tuning in during a break from the hustle, this is your invitation to slow down, lean in, and really listen. Now, because here we don't do noise, we do nuance. We ask the hard questions, we amplify the truth, and we remind you that your voice, your story, and your perspective matter. Today we meet a young woman who suffered a stroke at the age of 23. Yes, 23. She is a true survivor and she's using her story to educate and raise awareness. But first, the conversation around the 2025 UTME results has taken a tragic turn with a development that has shocked many Nigerians. 19-year-old Opesusi Faith Timilehin, a young woman living in Ikorodu, Lagos, has reportedly died by suicide after receiving what she believed was a low UTME score. That's 190, lower than what she had received in the previous year. Though this score was, of course, lower than the previous year, Timilehin was reportedly devastated, feeling that it was not good enough to secure her admission to the university course that she dreamed of, microbiology. Now, what makes this tragedy even more painful is that just 30 minutes after her death, Timilehin received a provisional admission notification via email. She had been offered a place, the very thing she thought had slipped through her fingers. This heartbreaking incident underscores the enormous emotional and psychological pressure that the UTME and similar high-stakes exams place on young Nigerians. It raises serious questions about how success is measured, how failure is defined, and whether our educational system is doing enough to protect not just students' futures, but their mental well-being.
And so just yesterday, we spoke about JAM saying it would review the registration examination and results release stages and has engaged IT experts and educational assessment professionals, including members from the Computer Professionals Association of Nigeria and vice chancellors from various institutions for this review. The latest scores showing that over 78% of the 1.9 million candidates scored below 200, basically failing the exam, has left the country asking questions about the exam, which is used to gain admission to universities in Nigeria. We also told you there are petitions to JAM regarding score sheets and potential legal action may be on the horizon. The UTME results have become a national conversation and now a national trend. All right, so let's see what people are saying.
This must be fear of parents. Parents need to stop instilling fear in their children over poor performance in education. People really need to start looking into alternatives. If JAM score can't guarantee your admission, there are other programs you can get into and enter school. I wrote JAM twice and I made my cutoff mark, but still didn't get admission for 2 years in a row. I extend my condolences to the family of the deceased. However, this matter is clearly not related to JAM, and JAM cannot be held responsible for such destructive behavior. May her soul rest in peace. Jesus Christ, because of low JAM score, she did this to herself. What sort of pressure made her do this? A lot of things running through my mind. Oma, this year's JAM really messed people up. May her soul rest in peace. If a child ends their life over JAM, that's not failure. It's proof the system already failed her first. All right, so we're going to take a quick time out before we get into this story. There's more after this. So this story this morning is causing a lot of reflection, especially with how the UTME scores have come in this year. New Central did speak to a close friend of the family, and she was very sad about her score, which was lower than the score that she had gotten last year.
She reportedly took some type of poison that eventually went to her sister and asked for palm oil to ease the effects. The sister initially did not take her seriously, and then as the situation worsened, she raised an alarm. They got neighbors together and all of that, and then they took her to the hospital. It was on the way to the hospital that Timilehin confessed that she had taken poison before visiting her sister's workplace. So she died.
I wonder how that poison has a brand. I call the brand. It
Yes,
has a brand, but I don't know whether it's in hard. You know, there's some that
it's
you put
easily
on,
accessible.
Yeah,
it's around the house.
Yes,
it's in
is
the
it like
market.
Lysol or bleach, or where is it? Is it in a bottle? And I always tell people, anybody who wants to take or who decides to go this route of suicide and take their lives, you must have very strong convictions. You must be really brave, because sometimes just the fact that if you want to even try to take your own life, the fear of it will make you, if you want to gag yourself or do something, you will be, I don't know, you will just get back to the will to live. But this one, I don't know the pressure she put on herself, or the pressure society put on her, or the pressure her family put on her. She's 19. Maybe that also, because at that age in Nigeria, you would assume that you're in your third year or second year, or so maybe there was some sort of pressure that the families overlooked. Remember when I think TAB, you said that her sister didn't take her seriously. Oh, give me palm oil, because they didn't take her seriously. Like, if anyone were going to do this, they wouldn't expect that she would be the one to be over jam 190 to study microbiology. It's not as if you're going to study aeronautics engineering, you're going to study mechanical engineering, medicine and surgery, or even, you understand, something stronger than that. So it begs the question. It didn't say whether her parents were alive or whether she was living with her parents, because like I said, parents also, we need to be more aware. We need to be more aware of what's going on with, look at this baby.
But I feel like that's a bit too extreme a measure. I'm not blaming the dead for whatever has happened, but then there's also the possibility of maybe accumulated, like you said, pressure. And it could also be that maybe she sees her peers, that moving on or something. So I don't entirely think we should blame it all on jam, because the truth is, every year, whether or not there's this massive number of people who supposedly failed, every year there are people who fail jam, who don't meet the cutoff. It doesn't mean that you would not go to school or you can't try again.
For me, I think the young people have so many pressure, more than we used to.
Yeah.
If you talk to a young person now and you ask them the things that are their aspirations or their dreams, you'd be like, these are dreams that we would have when you were in your early 30s or late 20s. But a lot of their colleagues have seen money. Social media has made money more accessible to the youth, that a lot of them are not even mentally ready. Like Taylor said one time that the average maturity of a person, it's not even when you're 18.
It's not when you're a legal adult.
It's not when you're a legal adult. It's like you have to be like 24 or something. So this girl, the pressure we are saying we might just think, oh, this is just about jam. She could have looked at her whole life together and think, I am stunted. I'm not moving forward. And she might not even want, there's so many things people say they really want. How would a child tell her parents in this time that, I don't want to go to uni.
Exactly.
I want to go and learn
content creation
or content creation, and her parents like, don't you want to be like this person?
Yeah.
Or sometimes parents ignore a child for failing. Have you seen that?
Yes.
It's a psychological torture.
Yeah, it is.
They are not saying anything.
Yeah.
They just look at you absently, like, okay, you're not
Like,
there.
yeah.
And the child is now beginning to project what wasn't said. Oh, did my dad look at me and say, I'm such a failure?
Or my dad is praising my sibling,
or
my sister, or my brother,
my
more
mom
than me.
So they might not even have worded it.
Yeah.
She could have been interpreting their silence. And maybe they're just like, hey, look at me now, I've not spoken to my son.
Yeah.
About his jam results, because I feel he's writing the exam. Imagine if he interpreted to be like, my mom is so disappointed that she couldn't even have the courage to tell me. So there's so many things that might be surrounding this young girl's death that goes beyond the jam score. So I just think everybody should take a cue from these things and maybe watch our words a little closer. Because no matter how somebody can be this depressed to be able to take something, that means they've been showing signs of something. You probably were just not listening. And I know on this table we've talked about signs of depression, we've talked about anxiety, we've talked about panic attacks. So many things go on with people that we don't just believe can be going on. So it's very sad. You can see that it's like we don't have words to speak. It's not like we can interview the dead and say, oh, was this really?
It might even shock you that her siblings may not even have known that she was going through that kind of enormous pressure. You don't.
And in this conversation, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. We're going to have more mental health awareness conversations. But there's a lot of things we don't take notice of, and there are a lot of things we take for granted. So we've laid out different aspects. The pressure she might be feeling, her friends moving along, whether the parents, but all of that is in retrospect. At the end of the day, a young woman has taken her life. We may not know what was the final trigger. We may not know if the UTME result was the final trigger. It was just one more thing or whatever it was. But it opens up so many conversations that we need to have as a country. This UTME result is a massive national discourse. It's a massive one. Yesterday when we were speaking, as you said, you were holding back his scores because he's taking WAEC. Any child now, any young adult, not even child, a young adult about to become adult, who has taken the UTME, who has seen their score, and it's not what they wanted or what they expected, or even worse than, and is having to take WAEC. What headspace are they in?
They can second guess themselves. I'm like, my son is super brainy, so he can like, maybe I'm not even. And you know, once you have that shift mentally, it can ricochet into so many ripple effects that you're not expecting. Oh, should I even put any effort? Maybe all those scary things and many children go through scary thoughts. A lot of parents
they don't know how to
tell you that I'm afraid.
Yes. But do we? Wait, I'm so sorry. They don't know how to tell us they're afraid. But do we, as parents, caregivers, the adults in their life, do we even give them room for self-expression, for the expression of fear, for the expression of doubt, for the expression of I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do what you want me? Do we even give them room? And I think that's a challenge for a lot of Nigerian and even African parents. How much room do we give our children for self-expression? For the things that they're afraid of, the things that they doubt, the things they're excited about. Sometimes we just brush them off.
And that's why it also contributes to the massive exodus to apps like TikTok, where the children just feel like that opens the world of their own. They live in their bubble. They're in this world where anything is possible. They draw their inspiration from You should see how these children, if you hear them talk about TikTok,
and it's because it feels like they're living vicariously through other people that are using it. And then someone said something some time ago that as parents, I don't think it applies, but the truth is sometimes if you look at it, it feels like as parents, the more you know, the more problematic it is for the child. Because imagine one grandmother in the village that doesn't know whether you pass or not, you're still my child. We'll try again. The pressure is less on such children compared to the doctor fathers and engineer mothers, so they feel like a failure automatically.
I hope that I don't think I felt this much pressure. No, you're making me think. So Korede's results came from the last exams, I don't know what you want to call it, and I saw the nervousness in her waiting for a response, particularly me. I'm the one who's like, you're going to school, you're doing your masters, I need to hear Dr. Balogun in your future. I'm the one. But I try, because there's a point where we do need to let our children know these are expectations. This is acceptable and this is not. This is what our family standard is. I told her, Adelaires and Baloguns, we don't fail. So I'm just thinking back to how much pressure.
It's a lot. Like I went to boarding school, and I cannot tell you how sad I used to feel towards the end of term, because when you're away from home, it's like you are cocooned. Your parents are not really focusing on you. But every time you go on vacation, they look at you. They see you. They focus on every little nuance of mistake. So if your result is not proper, in fact, I used to just wish holiday would not come. Though I was a good student, it wasn't like I didn't do well. But it still comes with that anxiety. I know. One time like this that they reported me or something to my dad, it even care to check the veracity
or to listen to you
of it. It just made me stay in the boarding house. I stayed there for the Easter break. I was beyond sad. So there's so many things that we need to rethink as parents. Even me, I'm always pushing.
we cast my mind back. I know what you mean. Now we're struggling as children who have grown in that kind of environment. We struggle for balance nowadays with our children.
Totally.
And I think every child has that nervousness before you present your results or your report card to your parents. And
there's one song I remember. Toluma, I remember. Mama mo paasi, ẹran ló jẹ káàdì mi. You know that?
You're asking the wrong
It just means that mommy I passed, but a goat ate my result. What? Anyway, we have to move on because May is Stroke Awareness Month. And how much do many of us know about stroke? What causes it? How do you possibly prevent it? And what life looks like for someone who survives a stroke? After the break, Emonena Akwara, lawyer and a passionate stroke survivor who survived a stroke at the young age of 23, joins us to share an incredible story, how everything changed. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Stay with us.
Join the conversation on social media. We are at News Central TV. Today we're turning our spotlights on an often overlooked medical emergency that changes lives in an instant, and that is stroke. It can happen to anyone, young or old. It doesn't matter. But when it does, it not only affects a person, but their entire world. In Nigeria, thousands of people suffer strokes every year, yet many still don't know the signs, the risk factors, or how to respond when it strikes. So this morning, we are not just talking statistics, we're sharing a real story of survival, of resilience, and of advocacy. Our guest has walked the hard road of recovery and is now using her voice to raise awareness and push for better support systems, because it's time to change the narrative from silence and stigma to knowledge and empowerment. Joining us today is Emonena Akwara, lawyer, author, and stroke survivor and advocate. She's the founder of My Ability in Disability Foundation. Emonena, welcome to Jasiri.
Good morning.
It's so good to have you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank
So
you.
soft-spoken.
Not like some people we know.
Wow. Okay, so let's go straight to the conversation. I mean, before you suffered a stroke, November 27th, 10 years ago, what were your goals? What were your aspirations? I'm sure you had a long list of things you wanted to achieve in your life.
I thought by now I would be a real estate mogul. Yes, I mean, I had dreams. I had my business called ED Braids. Then it was like a hair business, right? You want to braid your hair, you call me, and I take the money, then I give it to contract somebody to make your hair, and it was booming, honestly. So like when it was time for me to do the same thing with celebrities, stroke happened. Wow. Yes. Wow.
Okay, so take us back. I don't want you to take us there, but this is part of the story. Take us back to the moment your life changed, when you had the stroke. Looking back, the morning you woke up, was anything off? Did it feel like something was going to happen? Did you realize anything was wrong?
Did you even dream? Okay, so the night where I had the stroke, right, I was going for celebrity basketball, and before then I was sick, all those things, right? So I fell down at night, and my cousins, they didn't know what to do.
You fell down where?
In my house, in the bed.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do.
That was before the stroke, or as a consequence of the stroke?
No, so when I fell down, that was the stroke.
Oh, you fell from your bed.
No, I was making up.
Okay. Right? The stroke happened and wow.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. And it took me almost 24 hours to get proper medical attention. Honestly, so they took me to that hospital that was treating me, because like I said, I was sick before the stroke. The nurse didn't know what to do. Honestly, she
didn't know the signs.
She did not know the signs. Honestly, she just dumped me in a bed upstairs, and there was nobody to talk to, right? And the next day, my cousins came took me out of the hospital, took me to 2 other hospitals. Both rejected me. So there's this thing about stroke. If somebody has a stroke, right, the person has to get to a hospital that knows what they are doing
as possible.
As 4.5 hours. So just imagine I slept over, right? Of course they rejected me. Then they took me to another hospital. The other hospital said they didn't have a bed, right? But they did like CT scan and referred us to the last hospital where I took my treatment. And before then I didn't know if I was dying or not.
Wow.
So I was unconscious for like 3 days, right? I just woke up and saw that, hey, I can't move my right. I was like a vegetable, couldn't speak.
So because I know sometimes with stroke you have one side of your face drooped.
Yeah, I was like this. I did not take pictures because I was scared that if I see it, I would be scarred forever.
But those should be classic signs. You would expect a nurse, if somebody presents with these very basic classic signs or symptoms of a stroke, that would be the first thing that comes to mind.
Yes, I mean, I'm trying to change the narrative.
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to spot a stroke is we use this acronym FAST. Yeah, it's like face drooping, arm weakness, speech slurry or can't talk at all, and T, time to call for help. I even have a nursery rhyme for it.
Oh, wow. You share it with us.
I'm listening because I've watched a lot of people from afar go through difficult times, and I know that it must have taken an emotional and physical, emotional toll, the physical limitations. When all this was happening, what was the doctors telling your family? Because you know how hard it is, honestly. The last hospital that did not have to break it to your family that this young lady has a stroke. Do they have a reason for it? Because you just reeled out some of the things you were doing. Well, I would say that some people would say that, you were overworking yourself, your body was on a trajectory of high and it wasn't coming down, or maybe you had a history of hypertension, some other underlying health issues. So what was your own story? What did the doctor say?
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I was born with congenital heart defects. They didn't tell my mom. Obviously, I grew up like.
Sorry, who did not tell your mom? The
doctor, because they didn't. We don't do tests when you give birth. They're supposed to do like dental tests, heart and everything. They didn't do it, right? So I grew up and not knowing that I have this, right?
Which would have adjusted your lifestyle for it.
Exactly. At 23, something was growing in my heart, right? Endocarditis through that hole, through that default. Yes. So I fell down, and that was it. So the infection sent a blood clot to my brain. In the middle, he sent the blood clot through one part, damaged one valve in my heart. So right now I have leaky heart valve. Wow. So just imagine. And in fact, so when I had a stroke and they didn't even tell my mom I had CHD. They just told my mom about leaky heart valve. So they didn't, I'm like, no.
So they didn't tell what caused it. Because one thing led to
another. Yes, so they didn't know. I just knew about it.
All this, imagine all this coming on you. Is it when you had this stroke that the scan revealed that you had this heart condition that you knew for the first time?
So I thought I was dealing with just stroke. 4 years later, 4 years like 4 years ago, I was sick. I was feeling pain in my heart region and everything. So I went to the hospital, did tests, blah blah blah. Then the general practitioner said, go and see a cardiologist. So that was when I knew I had leaky heart valve, and they gave me what's it called, drugs. Again, that doctor did not tell me about the CHD, right? So few weeks ago, I got what's it called? I saw a cardiologist because the cardiologist and her daughter, they have like a foundation, so they were looking for a face. And just imagine that I literally did not know that having health issues will be an ambassador. I know everything happens. Exactly. So one minute I'm showing the cardiologist my results, and she says, "Oh, okay, you had this since you were born or something." I'm like, is that really?
So there's no sense.
Yes.
Wow.
So just imagine, I didn't know 4 years ago. I just knew, less than one month ago.
Let's stay with
And we talk about our medical system.
I think everybody's in shock right now.
Yeah.
It's almost as if we're living in this country on borrowed time, medical time.
Yes.
And I know I can literally hear people who are watching us say it's not my portion. If you are not, and may it not be my portion, because if they are playing ABC with your life, something that happened at birth, you didn't know really how bad it was until like 4 years ago. God damn.
Something that, and some of these things could have been corrected.
Yes,
I can't be corrected, but I know that there have been many open heart surgeries that could have been done, that could have helped her adjust her lifestyle. At least she would have been monitored.
Okay, let's stay with stroke, please. All right, so given the prognosis, of the stroke, what was the hardest part towards recovery for you? Maybe not necessarily just learning to move or speak again, but I think how society, perhaps, how to, how the world, because you said you didn't want to take pictures because you didn't want to see how you were, but how did you get by, especially with how the world saw you? We can be very, and then, so how was the entire recovery process for you?
So in the beginning, I was a mess. I couldn't speak, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't even remember anybody, right, including my mom. Yes. And I just 2 years after, I just decided that, hey, let me get up and and start working.
Sorry, for 2 years you didn't remember anybody?
No. I remembered. It was gradually.
Yeah, okay. So
I started remembering. Even till now, some parts of my brain doesn't resonate with like a story that I was there, I was present, right? But it doesn't matter. So I just decided that I would be strong because I know that there's a reason why the stroke happened to me, right? I have a lot of stories, and the reason is that so now this has happened to me, let me talk to the next person so it doesn't happen to the other person. Yes. So right from time I've always been strong, right? So I decided to grow. It was a decision. Yeah. So that's how.
So at that time you had a circle of friends. You had people around you.
Yes.
What was it like for them realizing? Because I know when this kind of prognosis or this kind of diagnosis come, it doesn't just hit you. And I hear you talk about mom. Is there no dad in the picture?
So my dad died before the stroke. He died 16 years ago, right? Then my mom died 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Wow. So because I had a stroke, again, so when somebody has a stroke, obviously the stroke does not only affect the person, the family too. So it's like my mom could not take the shock, and she died of chronic kidney disease because she was always thinking, So that's
maybe she caused it.
Well, that also now thinking affected the kidney.
Hypertension.
Let's take a break, guys. This is Jasiri. We'll be right back after this. What? That means all of us we have a tendency.
Surviving a stroke at just 23 altered the course of our guests' lives. But the experience also put her on the path of advocacy and using her voice to raise awareness about stroke and disability. She's with us today, taking us through her journey and using her story as education as we commemorate May as Stroke Awareness Month. Emonena, I've been disturbed. I won't lie. I felt your story viscerally in a very different manner. And just before the break now, you told us that a few years after you had the stroke, you also lost your mother.
Yeah.
So 23, you have a stroke. By 26, 27, your mom is gone. Both parents gone.
Yes.
And there's just no way that this did not take a toll on your mental health. And May is also Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we found out in statistics is that those who often suffer strokes, it's almost the next step to depression. Yeah. So in terms of recovery, in terms of getting back on your feet, you're just telling Lolo now you're married. You've been married for about 2 years. Yeah. Was there a moment where you lost hope, or you just said, "What's the point? You know, let's just God come us along, you know, knock on wood." And how did you find hope? How did you find hope, and how did you realize that the purpose now is to educate others?
So, first of all, the nights that I had a stroke, right, there was just a still small voice that was telling me that I would get out of it, I would be greater. So I listened to the voice. So, I mean, when my mom died, I was sad, but I was not depressed. This stroke did not have
Fantastic.
Wow. So after my mom died, well, I just packed. I packed the remaining things from my home state and came back to Lagos. So it was not. It was.
Do you have siblings? Are you the only child?
I have no. Of my mom, yes, but I have half siblings.
Wow, you're just the only child from your mom,
yes.
But you have half siblings. Do you have a good relationship with them?
Yes, I do.
I do. Wow,
yeah, that's so important. That support system.
You look like your mom.
Yes.
You know, you've just. Every one of us on the table is thinking, and we're looking at you and your bright smile, your beautiful face, the color of your skin. I'm like, wow, there's so much resilience in this beautiful body. You know, but I know that in Nigeria, one of the things I find very disturbing is that people that have no education or knowledge about something, we tend to react in the worst way. What do you wish that Nigerians knew more, especially about stroke? Maybe towards prevention or treatment, or even treating people who have survived stroke.
Okay, so about that, so I just started a company, right, that teaches caregivers what to do when somebody has a stroke. Don't go and look for somebody that will pour goat blood or that they will tell you that when you do goat blood or chicken blood, the person will be well. Like no, don't do that, right? So that is taking care of that part of stroke, right? So I just wish, and no, I always have seminars about stroke, right? Because I want everybody to know about it. I just wrote a children's book about stroke, right? So it's like when you have a stroke, they think that that stigma that's you're a witch or you did something. Yes, so it's very annoying. I didn't do anything. No, I just had a stroke, and it was not hypertension because I get this. Oh, you're so young, but I was not thinking about anything. It was just caused by the infection. So that's what I'm doing, right? And I wish that Nigerians and Africa as a whole would know that stroke is not caused by witchcraft, and even young people, even children have a stroke. And
you know this thing you're saying, because I want to take you back a little bit. When you had the stroke and in the recovery process, what were you hearing? Because you started talking about people pouring goat's blood and chicken blood to...
That happened to me.
They did it, or they asked them to do it?
No. Somebody came to my mom and was telling the person, my mom, that when we do chicken blood, pour it over, and I was listening. I was so angry. I couldn't speak.
right? But my countenance, I was shouting like, "Get out of here!" But I couldn't say that, get out, because I had like a lot. Like that's the height. I know. At my uncle's house, right? After I spent some time in the hospital, right? They discharged me to my uncle's house in Lagos, right? So obviously people were coming.
Everybody's went unsolicited advice.
I even went to church so that my mom would not feel so bad. But that was it. In fact, I was just, because my mom used to look at me and just wonder if she gave birth to me, because I'm so strong, like I'm so strong-willed. So no, I would recover on my terms. No.
So let me, because I can see your hand from here.
Yeah.
This is your right hand. I can see your right
shiny
hand from here. What are it's been years now, almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years this year.
Yeah.
And you've recovered. Anybody looking at you would not know. No, anyone looking at you would not know. But it's almost like it's a recovery tool. It's a forever recovery.
Yeah.
What are you still living with? What is the aftermath for you now?
My right body, I still limp. So that's why I have like this kind of shoes, chunky loafers. So it doesn't, it doesn't show, my walking step doesn't really show on chunky loafers. And my right hand, my right fingers, I can't still
control them so much.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's just
wow.
And the heart, I take drugs for it,
But and that's the funny thing. You were telling us during the break that if they had caught the heart condition early, it is just a medication around
antibiotics.
Just antibiotics.
And the hospital just cared about, do you have money? Let's see if she has a source. So because of that, they didn't ask me to do like full checkup.
Why?
Because like they just did blood work, and blood work showed that I had anemia. I had blood clots.
Was that always? That was a different hospital, was it? Or it was always your hospital? So
It was my hospital.
That's the thing.
Yes, it was my hospital.
But I think I have a problem with this fixation with my hospital.
Okay, hold the thoughts. We have to go for a quick time out. Lola will share the thoughts and we'll continue this conversation towards the end with our guests. Stay with us. We're wrapping up our conversation as we are, of course, looking at stroke. May is Stroke Awareness Month, and we will be having conversations hoping to educate ourselves and raise awareness about stroke. Now, today has been about the ability and disability of stroke survivors' story. And just before the break, Lolo, you wanted to ask a question.
I wanted to ask about this my hospital syndrome, where a lot of people, especially Nigerians, when they have this fixation for one hospital.
My
church. That one is on another level. That is my mom. So let's stay with hospital, because I've seen a lot of people that will just listen to one diagnosis. And now I'm seeing that medical practice is growing on a daily basis, and sometimes doctors reach diagnoses based on their own experiences. So don't you think that one should get at least 1, 2, or 3 more opinions before you sit on one?
Yes, they should actually. So let me share a brief story. So the hospital that I was going after the stroke, the hospital that found the leaky heart valve, right? They said they would take care of my heart, right? They gave me drugs to take care of that. Now I went to this. My cousin said, "Oh, second opinion," and I went to another hospital. So they said, surgery straight up. Open heart surgery. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not. So I just packed my load and moved on. Yes. So it's like it's very important that you have 2 or 3 opinions, right? Well, the second opinion said surgery, and I'm like, nah. Then the other opinion said we'll take care of your heart too.
So I think in this point, there's also the point of let's not be looking for opinions that that justify or that align with what we think we have. Let's be open to the medical recommendations and make as much of an informed decision as possible. I know doctors hate Google, But this day, people are going. Doctors hate it, but they don't want you to enter and say, "Doctor, I googled my symptoms."
No. I don't mean Google your symptoms, but for me, any medical doctor that is not keeping up to date with new medical advancements and things that are coming out on a daily basis.
How many actually are?
Oh, my doctor. His laptop is up like this.
Okay, before we because we're wrapping up now, you talked about the fact that you've written a book for children, which is really important. You know, writing a book for children and educating them at the early stages about what to look out for. So I want us to reiterate that what to look out for in terms of fast. You were talking about fast, and then you said you have a nursery rhyme.
Yes,
we'd love to hear that.
Yes. Can anybody go to your music platform?
Oh no, we can't do that now. Just take us through it.
It's called Stroke by Emonena Akwara.
Okay.
Stroke.
Sing some of it.
Do you know how to recognize a stroke? Recognize a stroke. Okay. Recognize a stroke. Do you know how to recognize a stroke? Fast is the word. F means face is drooping. A means arms can be raised. S means speech is slurry or can't talk at all. T means time to call for help. Do you know how to spot a stroke? That's it.
It absolutely works. Thank you so much.
And you did say you got married. So tell me, what was that like? Because a lot of people just assume that because somebody has a disability, life just stops. So how was your romance?
So to think that the stroke story attracted my husband. Yes.
When is your Sorry, go ahead.
So I went for a pop-up store, right? And my friend was there with her husband, and my husband was her brother's cousin.
Okay.
Right. And after the pop-up store and everything, they offered to drop me in my house, right? And we were conversing, and it got to the fact the death conversation, and you know how I'm now the baba of the I love it. So I was really nonchalant. I'm like, everybody must die one day now.
Wow, yeah, it's true.
So it was like, I need to be close to you. Yeah, and because his dad died about, I think, 1 year or 2 years ago or something. Then and he's still figuring out his way. So that's how we started speaking and everything. So less than a year. What?
One thing led to the other.
Yes. We started dating, then we didn't date for 1 year.
Intentionality. When they know, they know.
Intentional man.
Before we let you go, what would you say to a young person living with a new disability? Because by the time you're 23, you're thinking, this is the body I have, this is not what's going to happen. I know eventually I will die, but you don't think of what could be a life-altering, life-changing situation. And that's exactly what happened to you when you were 23. So what would you say to a young person living with a new disability who has to relearn life? You talked about losing your memories or not remembering certain things, and having to relearn, in some situations, relearn how to walk, relearn how to talk, relearn how to dress themselves, to fend for themselves. And she's saying she had to do all of that, every single one of those things and much more. So what would you say to a young person who's having to readjust their lives to a new disability, who feels invisible, who feels lost, who feels like life is over because of this thing that has happened?
Okay, be patient, because I was really patient. Look for things that can go with your body, right? So this, for instance, this suit, right? The buttons is not regular buttons, right? It's not, yes. So look for something that can go with your life. Then what again? Just be patient, honestly, because I was patient before this. And be confident and read some of the books that inspirational books. So that's what I have to say to the youth that is new to
disability.
yes, you'll be fine.
Yeah,
you'll be fine.
You got this. Thank you so much, Emonena Akwara. I mean, all I have to say is learn the signs of stroke, know the risks, and be careful, be patient, like she has said, and you will definitely be fine. Once again, thank you for joining us to have this conversation. And for myself and the ladies, it's goodbye. See you again tomorrow.
Weekend. Hot topics.